Srimad Bhagavatam 5:14-33. Evam adhvani avarundhanah mrityu gaja bhayat tamasi girikandara praye. Evam adhvanyavarundhano mrityu gaja bhayat tamasi girikandara praye. Evam, in this way, adhvani, on the path of sense gratification, avarundhana, being confined, he forgets the real purpose of life. Mrityu gaja bhayat, out of fear of the elephant of death. Tamasi, in the darkness. Girikandara praye, similar to the dark caves in the mountains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: in this material world, when the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and does not care for Krishna consciousness, he simply engages in different types of mischievous and sinful activities. He is then subjected to the threefold miseries, and out of fear of the elephant of death, he falls into the darkness found in the mountain cave. Please repeat. In this material world, when the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and does not care for Krishna consciousness, he simply engages in different types of mischievous and sinful activities. He is then subjected to the threefold miseries, and out of the fear of the elephant of death, he falls into the darkness found in a mountain cave. Purport: everyone is afraid of death, and however strong a materialistic person may be, when there is disease in old age, one must certainly accept death's notice. The conditioned soul becomes very morose to receive notice of death. His fear is compared to the fear experienced upon entering a dark mountain cave, and death is compared to a great elephant. We'll just read the next two verses as well. Kvachit chhita vatadyaneka daivika bhautikatmiyanam dukkhanam pratinivarane kalpo duranta vishaya vishanna aste. The conditioned soul suffers many miserable bodily conditions, such as being affected by severe cold and strong winds. He also suffers due to the activities of other living beings and due to natural disturbances. When he is unable to counteract them and has to remain in a miserable condition, he naturally becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. 5:14-35. Kvachin mitho vyavaharan yat kinchit dhanam upayati vitta shakhyena. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sometimes conditioned souls exchange money, but in due course of time, enmity arises because of cheating. Although there may be a tiny profit, the conditioned souls cease to be friends and become enemies. Purport: as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 8. Pumsa striya mithuni bhavametam tayormitho hridaya grantimaho ato graha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyamaham mameti. The monkey-like conditioned soul first becomes attached to sex, and when intercourse actually takes place, he becomes more attached. He then requires some material comforts, apartment, house, food, friends, wealth, and so on. In order to acquire these things, he has to cheat others, and this creates enmity even among the most intimate friends. Sometimes this enmity is created between the conditioned soul and the father or spiritual master. Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulative principles, one may perform mischievous acts, even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. We therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulative principles. Otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension among its members. Those who are serious about pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement should remember this and strictly follow the regulative principles so that their minds will not be disturbed. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakanaraghuna Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the forest of the material world, the analogy of the forest in comparing our material world to, in this chapter, all the features of material existence are compared to the dangers in the forest. And here, in these three verses, in the first verse, 5:14:33, in this material world, when the living entity forgets Adhani, Avarandhana, this Ruddha means imprisoned. Aniruddha, one of the names of Krishna, one of the Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Aniruddha means one who is not imprisoned, one who is completely free. So this is from that root word, Ruddha, Rundhanaha, Avarundhana, being confined, who forgets the real purpose of life. Mrityu Gaja Bhayat. Avrita, that is different. is Avarundhan. Tamasi in darkness, the Girikandara Praya, in the cave of the mountain. So, death is like the elephant. I mean, if you are face to face with an elephant, I had that experience. We were going, I think I was 10 years old, maybe 10 or 11 years old. When, this is what happens when you're not Krishna conscious. So instead of going to places of pilgrimage, you go to sightseeing and other similar sense gratification. So my father, he took our family and with our uncle and their family. We went to this safari in the forests of Karnataka. What is that? What is that forest where Veerappan was there?
I also went.
So anyway, we went to that forest there, and then we were on this bus, the safari bus. Safari vehicles, they are not fully like, there's no, yeah, what is that? Bandipur, yeah, Bandipur National Park, yeah, that one. So the safari vehicles don't have any glass or nothing, they're just open windows. So we're going on this bus, and as we were going into the forest, in the off-road, another vehicle was coming and they said, there's a herd of elephants. I think you just return back. Our driver, we were staying in this resort, and then we were going from there. So the driver, he was a bit adventurous. He just, no man, I know, I have seen before. Then he went. Then on the left, there was a herd. We went further. Everybody went back, and the elephants were there. And then he stopped the vehicle so that not to make any noise. He hoped the elephants would just pass. But the elephants were coming near, walking towards. And they were very near. And then he was trying to start the vehicle, and then it was not starting. It wasn't starting. So I don't know what he did. I think he just tried a few times, and then suddenly it started, but it was rolling. The wheels were rolling in the mud. It wasn't going forward. And then he just stopped for a while, and we retracted back, and then finally it started moving slowly. The elephant was just, trumpeting and then running by this time. And came to our bus, and then we were going, and then the elephant was chasing us. So I was at the back seat, right at the back seat, and I just turned back, and I was just like stunned. I was just looking at the elephant, and it was so close. But nothing, nothing was processing in my head. I was just like looking at the elephant, and then somehow it was a very close shave. It was somehow made it through. And the elephant stopped running after us. And then, of course, he was reprimanded when he went back to the resort. How can you put the customers in danger? So anyway, they are living, actually we are intruders there, right? Safari is basically for our sense gratification. We want to see them in their natural habitat. Rishis used to go there and do tapasya. We are going there and doing all. So, it was a stupid move. But anyway, got a little glimpse of how it feels when you face an elephant up close. So, to run away from that, one may here the example is one may go into a dark cave, and that's another dangerous situation where you do not know whether there are bats, there are snakes, what else is there. And darkness in itself is always, fear-inducing. So material life is like this. When we try to escape from one situation, we will end up in another, which is equally or similarly dangerous or morose. And this is actually explained in this verse. A few verses actually. 7.742 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminah sadapnoti haya dukkham anihaya sukhavritah. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminishes distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. So, how true is this? Because when we think that something is our goal now, and I have to achieve that, then I will be happy. In a sense, implicitly, we are saying that I'm now not happy. I have to get there in order to become happy, and I will do anything to get there to become happy. And there goes our endeavor of suffering in order to meet that mirage of happiness. Once we reach there, there's nothing like a mirage. It doesn't quench our thirst really. And then we will aim for something else, and something else, and something else. In the meantime, just like the animal which runs after mirage in the desert, and then when it goes there in hope of water, but then it becomes even more thirsty because it has run now, and then there is no water, and then there is the promise of water in a much distant place now. In this way, he's just going on and on. And while going like that, Tatale Saikate Baribindu Sama, Sutamita Ramani Sama, Jain, Vidyapati, the great Vaishnava poet, he wrote that sometimes we do quench our thirst with a drop of water in the desert. What is the use? If in a desert somebody says, "Oh, I'll quench your thirst," "Oh, okay, please, please, please," and then he puts one drop in the mouth. What is the use of that? It's even more frustrating. At least don't give me hope, I'll be prepared for some suffering, but now you give me hope and then take it back completely. That is even worse. So, material happiness is like this. Either it's a mirage or it's a drop, which does not quench our real thirst. So here it is nicely said that one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. So what does that actually mean? So we should stay just miserable and that's how we will be happy? No. We are not compromising. Ours is not when we say contented, to be contented, contented is actually a compromise. Contented means, you don't have all that you want to ask for, but just be happy with whatever it is and find some happiness in that. And the other day we were looking up. It's called what? Stockholm Syndrome, where the one who is abused is in a relationship with the abuser, and he or she finds good qualities in that person because somehow or other he's being maintained, so he has to survive. So, as a survival tactic, he would have to adjust his expectations and everything around that abuser. And if any leeways are there, small, even however small, he will think that's a big favor, and in that way try to adjust. You know what? That's what happens actually. That's what happens. Not just abuse some. It's actually how the material world works. Because when we come to this material world, we wanted to be the Supreme Lord. That's why we came here. And Krishna gave us the chance. Okay, you become first Brahma, master of the universe. There are millions of universes. He does not show us that part. So there's this one universe, and now you're master. Come, Brahma, full control. If he shows the other universes, then you become depressed again. So no. So he will not show the other universes. One universe will be Brahma. And then we started our journey to dominate. The quest for domination. And then we ended up where? As a worm in the stool. Purushera Kita. In Bengali. So our quest for dominance led us to being a worm in the stool. We're dominating the stool there. Or being dominated by the stool. We are unable to get out of it. That bad. So, and then we're happy with that. The worm in the stool, you take it out of the stool, you'll go back into the stool again. Hey, why are you taking it out? Like the pig. Narakasthopi deham vai napuman tyaktumichhati. Even in Narak, he doesn't want to give up his body. Narakyam nirvritau satyam devamaya vimohitaha. Maya is so strong that even in hellish condition, see, the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. Sorry, satisfied in his own particular species of life. While deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy, he feels little inclined, that means hardly inclined, to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. We see, those who are in tamasic modes, they're eating everything and anything, they're drinking, prostitution, everything. And they think this is happiness. This is like pig. Indra became a pig by the curse of a sage. And then he was having a big family in the pig's body. And in that, huge family. And he was eating garbage, stool, everything. And then the curse was over. Brahma came down. He said, hello, your curse is over. Now come back and occupy the heavenly throne and don't do any stupid things again. So Indra said, what do you mean heaven? I'm in heaven. This is my heaven. See how many people are depending on me and I'm happy. Indra. That same Indra who sends Menaka and Urvashi, everybody, to disturb any great sage whom he thinks will be a competitor of him. He is not prepared to give up his throne. So attached to that throne in the heaven that he, first of all, tries to get into affair with some wife of somebody, never learns his lesson. And then when some sage is minding his own business, becoming spiritually advanced, he will think that maybe he is doing his tapasya to get my position. Send some Menaka, some society girl, so that he may be disturbed and fall down. And he will not continue. That much he was attached. So much so that he was embarrassed. One time he had illicit affair. Who? So he wanted to, have illicit affair. So the sage actually cursed him. I forget the name. The sage cursed him. They say, you are so attached to the vagina, the private part of the woman. Okay, your whole body will be vagina, full of vagina. So his whole body was full of that. Imagine. So then he was embarrassed how to show himself anywhere now. Then he begged for the pardon, and the sage said, okay, finally, all his vaginas, let them be turned into eyes. So he is full of eyes. We just released a book, Why Worship Only Krishna. In the picture you can see Indra also was bowing down with all body full of eyes. They became eyes. You look at a person like that, you will know he is lusty number one. Never learned his lesson. That attached he was to the heavenly throne. When he became a pig, he didn't want to come out. This is Deva Maya Vimohitaha. You see? Narakasthopi deham vaye napumam tyaktum ichhati. Narakyam nirvritav satyam Deva Maya Vimohitaha. This is how bewildering Maya is. There is two Shaktis of Maya. One is Prakshepatmika, one is Avaranatmika. Prakshepatmika means Maya will throw you from your constitutional position. Suppose I am doing some seva, becoming devotee. Maya will offer something glaring. Get out. Or sometimes I am wanting to become good devotee. And then I actually think I am good devotee. And then I think the devotees are actually not up to standard. I am actually better. Then what happens? Offense? Thrown out. Maya has so many tricks up her sleeve. If we are immune to one and if we are strong, then okay, fine. Another trick. Before we know, she has a complete control over us and then we are gone. So when she throws us away from Krishna, she will not let us come back. Avaranatmika means the covering potency, the throwing potency and the covering potency. This Avaranatmika Shakti will keep us covered and keep us away from Krishna. So suppose I commit some offense and I leave the association of devotees. While I am there, Maya will convince me that actually what I am doing is right. And yes, the devotees are wrong. In this way, I will be convinced. Or sometimes I may be interested in a materialistic way of life. And Maya will convince me, yeah, I'm still Krishna conscious, I'm chanting, but I'm also doing this and that. So in that way, it will convince us so that we keep away from devotees. And what happens when we keep ourselves away from devotees? Slowly and slowly and slowly, Maya will overtake more and more of our life. And then our chanting, our reading, everything will dwindle. If we are doing the same thing, the quality will dwindle, and even eventually the quantity will dwindle. And soon enough, our whereabouts will be unknown in the domain of Krishna consciousness. We don't know where we are. Gone. So, when we are covered by Maya, Avaranatmika Shakti, then we will adjust to whatever situation we are in. Even the cockroach, when you try to kick it a little bit, what will happen? It will run. What is that? That is fear of life. That is the endeavor to preserve its body. Don't worry about forget about the cockroach. We ourselves, our body is actually, it's an infection on the soul. But if something happens, we spend thousands of dollars to keep this body. The same body which we burn when the soul leaves the body, when something happens, any health problem, we don't mind spending money, so much money. That is because we want to remain in this body. So this is Maya. Not that, of course, we're not saying that, one should not take any care. One should take care with a different mindset. That this body belongs to Krishna. Yeah? And therefore it has to be used in Krishna's service for as long as it can be used. And for that reason, if it has to be well oiled, well maintained, then it has to be done. Whatever minimum for that. Right? Just like we may have a car and we may take care of the car for our own thing. But temple also has car or vehicle, and we take care of the temple's vehicle. But for what? For temple's purpose. Similarly, if our body is used for Krishna, that is proper usage, but that is proper understanding. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. Because the owner of the senses, Rishika means senses, Isha means the owner, the Lord. The Lord of our senses is actually Krishna. We are not the owner of our body. We are in rented premises. This is rented premises because when the owner says get out, we have to get out. If we were the owner, we would have complete control. We don't have. So we are in rented premises. So the owner's will has to be adhered to. So at one point, who was that? Sanatana Goswami. His body was full of sores and pus was oozing out. He did not want to continue his life anymore. So what is the point? I would just commit suicide. Now, firstly, it looks like a materialistic thing to do. What is suicide? That is tamasic. But he had a different idea in his mind when he was wanting to commit suicide. He was thinking, an ordinary materialist would find it very distressing, the body, I'll just die. But the distress of Sanatana Goswami was that he was unable to use his body in Krishna's service. Diseased body, what you can do with that body? So he was feeling distress. I'm unable to serve Krishna. What is the use of this body? So therefore he wanted to give up. He wanted to go under the Jagannath's Rath and commit suicide like that. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to know, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what right do you have over this body of yours? Who do you think you are? Do you think you have right over this body? That body is mine. You have no right. You have to function according to my dictation, not according to your mind's dictation. So since you have given your body to mine, you have to do what I say. You cannot take decisions on it. So in that way, of course, he after that embraced him and all his sores were gone. In fact, Sanatana, actually, before that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was embracing, and all the pus would come on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body, and then he did not like it. Not only am I unable to serve, but I am also committing offense like this. Useless. Let me die. That was his sentiment. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, this is, you have to use this body for my service. And he cured his body. So with that understanding, Yukta and Vairagya, we should not be attached to this body, but we should use the body as long as we have it in Krishna's service. And when the time comes that the body will just have to go, it will become imminent. I mean, however much we may try, it may not work. At that time, that's it. Ante Narayana Smriti. But this is easier said than done, because even when we have a slight headache, we will have incredible difficulty in even chanting our rounds. If we have just a headache, imagine at the time of death, not just the head, every part of the body completely in disorder. Our mind is in disorder, our body is in disorder. So that's why in Kulashekar he says, let me die now. Krishna tvadiya pada pankaja panjarantam adyaiva me vishatu manasa rajahamsa prana prayana samaye kapavata pittai kanthavarotana vidho smaranam kutaste. Adyaiva. He said, O Lord Krishna, at this moment, let this royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. How will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death, when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile and air? So when I am old and my body is in disorder, I will not be. How can I think of you at that time? Maybe I'll be in a coma, I don't know. So now I'm able to think of you. I'm in the prime of my life, I'm able to think of you with clear head. Let me die now. So in that way he is praying. And Srila Prabhupada actually every morning when he wakes up, when he is going to the bathroom, he would sing this verse. Materialists, they don't want to hear about death. The first thing Prabhupada chants is, let me die now. So, going back, where were we? 5:14:33. So, in this material world, one problem, and then if we try to solve that with some adjustment, that will create another set of problems, and then we get busy with solving those problems, giving rise to another set of other sets of problems. In this way, the material world becomes quickly very complicated. Therefore, the best thing to do is Samisham kuraram jagnur balinonye niramishaha tadamisham parityajya sasukham samavindata. Once, a group of large hawks who were unable to find any prey attacked another weaker hawk who was holding some meat. At that time, being in danger of his life, the hawk gave up his meat and experienced actual happiness. What is this? So, he was going with this meat in his beak, claws, and then he was flying with the meat. And then all the hawks from nearby, vultures, eagles, everybody saw, hey, we are not getting anything, big piece of meat there. Everybody started hunting that hawk down. And when you have weight that much, you can't fly as fast. So they were quickly closing in. And as he was flying, he wanted to keep the meat because he wanted to enjoy that food. At the same time, that would mean that hundreds of birds would be after him and he had to fight for his life. And then at one point he decided, you know what, I'll just leave it. He left and he felt happiness. Suddenly, nobody was after him. Nothing was troubling him anymore. He was peaceful. So, material life is like this. The more we try to stay attached, the more we try to hold on to it, the more it will give us pain. But we can't give up, right? I mean, we can't commit suicide. We are holding on to our body. So how to navigate the situation where we can't give up and we should not hold on? What to do? The example, what is that verse? I forget the number. What is that? When the bird is on the branch, standing on the branch of a tree, but it does not depend on the branch for its, it depends on its own wings. So while the branch is there, he may stand on the branch. But for us, if we are on the branch of a tree, if the branch breaks, we will fall down because we are taking shelter of the branch. Whereas the bird, although standing on the branch, is not taking shelter of the branch. He is just standing there, but unattached. Because if anything were to happen to the branch, he will use his wings and fly. So he will not have to fall with the branch. So similarly, while we are in this body, we should develop our wings. What does that mean? So our ability to, we should develop our Krishna consciousness, basically, which will increase our ability to become detached from this. And not, while here, we are not dependent on the circumstances. If the circumstances change, so be it. My Krishna consciousness should continue, irrespective of the circumstances. Some circumstances will be favorable, some not so. But the thing is, we cannot independently be, depending on ourselves. We have to have association of devotees. That is one thing we cannot give up. Wherever we are, we should have association of devotees. Without that, we will be, disabled. See here, there's a nice prayer by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Durgame pathimendhasya skhalat padagatermuhu svakripayashtidanena santah santvavalambanam. My path is very difficult. I am blind and my feet are slipping again and again. Therefore, may the saints help me by granting me the stick of their mercy as my support. When an old man who tries to walk, he cannot walk, he may be slipping and falling, he needs a walking stick. So he's saying, my path is difficult, I am blind and my feet are slipping. Therefore, he's asking the devotees the stick of their mercy, because that will help him walk. So that will enable him to walk on this path of Krishna consciousness. So wherever we are, we should not give up the association of devotees. There is this verse. Varam hutava hajvala panjarantar vyavasthitihi nashaur chinta vimukha jana samvasa vaishasam. Madhya 22:91. It is better to accept the miseries of being encaged within bars and surrounded by burning flames than to associate with those bereft of Krishna consciousness. Such association is a very great hardship. So, this is how much we should crave for devotee association. By their support, yes, we can liberate ourselves. Otherwise, alone, actually, we cannot do it, and there is verse for that as well. Anadya vidya yuktasya purushasya atmavedanam svato na sambhavadanyas tattvajño jnanado bhavet. 11:22-10 Srimad Bhagavatam. Because a person who has been covered by ignorance since time immemorial is not capable of effecting his own self-realization, there must be some other personality who is in factual knowledge of the absolute truth and can impart this knowledge to him. So this is the spiritual master. And with the mercy of the spiritual master, in the association of devotees, we can actually advance very, very quickly. So that has to be sought. Now, going further in the next verse, it is said there are three kinds of miseries. Tapatraya. Tapatraya means, tapa means suffering, traya means three types. What are the tapatrayas? Adhyatmik, adhibhautik, adhidaivik. Miseries caused by my own body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by natural causes or the demigods. The conditioned soul suffers many miserable bodily conditions, such as being affected by severe cold and strong winds, which is adhidaivik. He also suffers due to the activities of other living beings, adhibhautik, and due to natural disturbance soul. Okay, here the severe cold, it's like adhyatmic, it is compared to adhyatmic here because actually it's a combination. Always there are combinations of miseries. It's not that only one kind of misery comes. Like, oh, now I'm suffering adhyatmic, now adhibhautik, now adhibhautik. It can be a combination of all. Suppose there is a natural disaster, and while maybe say an earthquake, and then everything is like chaos, and then one guy comes and steals. I mean, a band of guys comes and steal. There is adhibhautik, adhidaivik together, and maybe I'm having a cold at the same time or a fever. So all can happen at one time, or one of them, or more than one. So in this way, we're always suffering. There are those cardinal miseries which are Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, the main, which are, how to say, we cannot escape them. And if we think Janma, birth, well, happened already, forgotten. Nobody remembers how much we suffered in the womb. Fine, forgotten, so don't worry. So only three I have to worry about: death, old age, disease. Death will come when it comes, maybe when I'm old. I don't know, it can happen now. But say, a materialist would think like this. Okay, birth you're saying is a problem, that is finished. Death is another problem. When it comes anyway, that is 1 second and I'll be finished. So old age and disease. Old age, yeah, it'll come when I'm old. So long way to go. Just one thing, disease, right? If I can just keep myself out of that, I'm good. But no. Tapatraya will be there to fill in the blanks. If not one thing, another thing, another thing, another thing. So it will always be there, and continuously we are trying to counteract this. He also suffers due to the activities of other living beings and due to natural disturbances. When he is unable to counteract them and has to remain in a miserable condition, he naturally becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. So just that verse we have seen, 7:42, as long as we do not endeavor for happiness, we are happy. And what is that happiness? We were actually started at that point, we came way off. So contention. To be contented is recommendation of some people. In fact, one philosopher, he came up with a book on the secrets to happiness. And his point is that just don't have too high expectations. Just drop your expectation levels to absolute lowest of the low. If anything happens more than that, it's always a bonus and that will be a cause of happiness. But if you don't have too high of an expectation from life, from your surroundings or from anything, you can be happy. That is Stockholm Syndrome 101. Like compromising with our contention, we don't say this. We don't say be contented. No. We say aim for the highest thing. Anandamaya Abhyasa. Our nature is to look for happiness. To be happy is our nature. Why should I compromise with that? I should not. Let me become so happy that none of this material world, none of the situations of this material world matter anymore. So I will be contented with anything in the material world. Ours is the opposite. So Krishna consciousness offers that. What does it offer? Param drishtva nivartate. You have a higher taste. Once you have that higher pleasure of serving Krishna, Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. This is what happens when we give up. Oh, be contented. But then, the senses want happiness, we want happiness. So we will be tempted always. We have to, it's a very big exercise to control ourselves. And even if we externally control, in our mind, we may be still, I can't enjoy as much as I want to really, but I just have to compromise. That thing will be there. That is a pretender. As if I'm not enjoying, but actually my mind is dwelling on sense objects. And in the 3rd chapter, 6th verse, Krishna calls that pretender. Karmendriyani samyamya yahaste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimodhatma mithyachara sauchyate. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So, we should not be a pretender. We should actually, being contented is a good thing. But it has to come from a different platform, not by compromising our expectations and compromising our happiness, but engaging in Krishna conscious activities which bring us so much happiness that yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah stitosmi. No, I always mix up these two verses. Okay, go down here. Okay, yatro paramate chittam. It's 4 verses, but very important. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tatvatah yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna pi vichalyate tadvidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samyitam. In the stage of perfection, can somebody answer the phone? It's ringing and ringing. In the office. Office phone. It will go off. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. How to liberate ourselves from this material life? It is to be in such a position that even in the midst of the greatest, in the eye of the storm, we should feel nothing. That is the stage we have to come to. And this is only possible with Krishna consciousness because we don't then depend on external situations and circumstances for our happiness. But a devotee is like this. Indra was happy in hell, right? As a pig. No. A devotee is also happy in hell. Narayana parah sarve nakutaschana bibhyati svarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyartha darshinah. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahayat. I don't mind being born again and again. I don't mind. but I want the benediction of your devotional service in any life I may take. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Kita janma hao jata thua das, bahirmukha brahma janme nahi aas. He says, I would rather be an insect in the house of a devotee so that at least I can get some prasadam, hear the holy name, rather than being a Brahma averse to you. So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying. Let me be even an insect in the house of your devotee, as long as I'm a devotee. So, Kaivalyam narakayate, Hridasha purakasha pushpayate, Durdantendriya kala sarpa phatali protkata damshtrayate, Vishwam purna sukhayate, Vidhi mahendradishcha kitayate, Yah karanya kataksha vaibhavatam tam gaurameva stumah. Chaitanya Chandramrita. This is like Vidhi Mahendradishcha Kitayate. When one has the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the great demigods become like small insects, which Kulashikar also says. And Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Krishna says, had certified this material world with Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, a temporary place full of miseries. But devotee experiences it as the opposite. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Kaivalyam Narakayate. For him, Kaivalya, which is to become one with the Lord, is hellish. Because there is no service. The one place where there is no service is Kaivalya. When one merges into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, there is no service there. That is worse than being in the material world and having some service here. So, material world or spiritual world, he doesn't mind. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate, but Kaivalyam is Narakayate. So, what is the meaning of this verse? This is a long. Yeah. So this, when a devotee has achieved the position of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he thinks the impersonal Brahman to be no better than hell, and he regards material happiness in the heavenly planets to be like a will o' the wisp. I mean, it's just a hallucination. A palace in the sky, or flowers in the sky. It doesn't make sense. It's just a hallucination. As far as the perfection of mystic powers is concerned, a devotee compares it to a venomous snake with no teeth. A mystic yogi is especially concerned with controlling the senses, but because the senses of a devotee are engaged in the service of the Lord, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate, there is no need for separate control of the senses. This is the point. There is no need of separate control of the senses. We have a higher taste in life. Like for a pig, if you tell the pig, don't go and eat the garbage, don't go and eat the stool, it will be very hard for the pig to follow that rule because he wants to eat garbage. But there is no need to tell you, don't eat garbage. You by your own, because you have a higher taste of life, higher taste of sense of taste, you will repel garbage. There is no need of that instruction, oh, don't eat garbage. No need. That is how we should be giving up this material world, just like garbage. This material world is actually garbage. But we take interest in this like pigs. So, we have to increase our taste. We have to rise above this platform and have the taste of Krishna consciousness. Once we have that ruchi, then it is easy to give up. It will be very easy to give up. Even in the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness, one can experience the taste of Krishna consciousness, which cannot be compared to anything in this world. Even in the beginning stages. What to speak of an advanced devotee. So continuing, for those who are materially engaged, control of the senses is required, but devotee senses are all engaged in the service of the Lord, which means that they're already controlled. Param drishtva nivartate. That devotee's senses are not attracted by material enjoyment, and even though the material world is full of misery, the devotee considers this material world to be also spiritual because everything is engaged in the service of the Lord. Manasa deho geho jo kichu more arpilu tuva pade nanda kishore. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Everything that may be so-called mine, I offer to you, Krishna, in your service. So, then what happens? In another song he says, I witnessed Golok Vrindavan in my house. Because everything is used in your service. So that is the thing. Goloka is a state of consciousness. It's not a location. It's a state of, it's a bhava. This place, this third floor unit is as much concrete and bricks and whatever as the next one or the one above or the one at the top or the one next door. But what makes this spiritual and that material? Because the bhava. What is the bhava here? That's where the bhava is important. Krishna consciousness. Like there are so many temples in India, but there is no bhava of Krishna consciousness. In the sense, there is deity, yes, fine, but mind is predominantly materialistic. So that kind of official worship of the temple deity, without Shravanam Kirtanam process, hearing and chanting, with the in the association of devotees, under the guidance of the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, only that makes a temple a real temple. Because even Narayana himself says to Narada, Naham Dishthami Vaikunthe. I am not in the Vaikuntha or in the embassies of Vaikuntha, which are the temples in this world. I am Naham Dishthami Vaikunthe. I am not in them. Naham Yoginam Hridayeshuva. Neither am I in the hearts of the yogis who are so-called meditating on me. I am not really there as well. Where am I? Tatra Tishthami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madhbhakta. Where my devotees are singing about me, glorifying me. When he says Gayanti means not just singing only, glorifying him. This Bhagavatam class is also glorification of the Lord. And especially this, because singing, kirtan in the form of musical, in the musical form, it's purifying, but it has to be coupled with also philosophy. We cannot just have a sentimental only kirtan. Because there are many professional singers who will do it very well, with all kinds of instruments, all kinds of singing abilities. They can make it very entertaining, but it will not have the spiritual effect. One has to have Shakti in order to have any effect on the audience. Prabhupada went, he did kirtan in the Tompkins Square Park with the Kartal. He started a whole movement from that. That is the potency of a pure devotee. If we just do it as a musical entertainment, then some people will be gratified by this, their ears will be gratified, but then there has to be actually Shravanam, philosophy, there has to be. In the beginning, maybe no. Like when Prabhupada was dealing with the hippies in America, they had no brains to digest anything. They were drugged out, completely gone. So he was just singing and they were just dancing. Eventually, they started singing and singing, became purified, and Prabhupada gave them prasadam, and then he invited them over, and then had classes he started. And that's where the serious devotees actually started. When the dancing was going on, singing was going, people are coming in hordes, but the serious ones, the one who can actually become a devotee, that will happen with actual Shravanam. You just start a temple with the Krishna deity, some Indians may come at most. And they also will come Janmashtami once a year, they will come. That's it. In America, New York, if you started a temple, Radha Krishna temple, some Indian will come Janmashtami, put some donation, go back. Jai Shri Krishna. That's it. After that, Jai Shri Maya. So that's what happens. 1 year Maya, 1 day Krishna will come. That's it. So, but if we had to make the Americans into devotees, what will change? The Siddhanta. Even Indians, what will change? Siddhanta. The philosophy has to be there. Shravanam has to be there. Even our devotees, to strengthen, to keep ourselves intact in devotional life, We have to regularly, every day, anudinam, we have to read, we have to attend classes, we have to do all these things. If we don't, Maya is there. 24 hours, the ears are open. You can close your mouth, you can close your eyes, but ears you can't. They'll be open. So we are hearing all kinds of materialistic sounds, materialistic messages, convincing us to be materialistically inclined. In this way, we are being robbed of our lifetime and this golden opportunity of human life, which will last only for a few years, will be wasted away in animal propensities, and next life, again in animal life. And after how many billions or millions and billions of years? Suppose I became a fish. There are 8.4 million species. 8 million species below human life. So it takes 8 million species to come to human life, right? So let's take on an average, 1 year in one life form. Of course, some are very short, and some are very, very long. Some trees, they live for thousands of years standing. Let's take, for example, 1 year in each life. And let's say sometimes I'm born as a male, sometimes a female in the same species. Not all species are having two genders. So those who are, so let's count them also, 16 million. Let's take on average, more than just 16 million years if we fall to the lowest species. 16 million years before we can touch human life again. That is on an average 1 year per life. How many years per life? How many lives in this species and this gender, that gender, maybe sometime transgender. Third. So what will happen to me then? How many years? You see how much time will be wasted if we just one life. And mind you, all those lifetimes, there is no karma that we newly accrue in those lifetimes. For example, if a lion kills brutally another animal, the lion is not going to be punished for that kill. Only humans will be charged with sin. The animals don't, because they have no rational capacity to judge what is right and wrong. They just work on instinct. And they just work for their own survival. That's all. And that's how they are made. So they are not going to be punished. We will be punished. Now, if we understand that properly, that all that 16 million years is the result of our one lifetime's activities. Because whatever suffering, now you see the animal, in the wildlife, in the African jungle, there are the lions, there are also the wild dogs. It is better to be killed by the lion than to be killed by the wild dogs. You know why? The lion will just suffocate the throat and make sure you're dead first, and then eat you. The dogs attack the groin area and tear the skin off. The animal is still standing and trying to even run away. Grab the skin, tear the skin off, all the insides will be out, stomach, intestines will be hanging, and it'll just tear off, and then they will grab one of those parts and one dog will go and eat, another dog will, while the animal is still alive. It is better to be killed by the lion than by the dog. That kind of suffering the animal is going through, what sin did it commit? In that life, nothing. In the previous, how many other animal lives? Nothing. Some human life. So whatever we are doing now are having we're creating a huge after effect. Huge after, like the comet. The comet is here, but the trail is that long. That trail of karma we are leaving behind, and it will take millions of years to catch up on that. Again, come back to the point of human life where to a reasonable extent, our sinful activities have been purged, reactions have been purged. We get again human life. Another chance at it. At Krishna consciousness. If you're going to miss that, again. So that's how important human life is. Therefore, we should not waste any time. Dharman bhagavadaniha kaumara acharit prajna. At 5 years old, don't waste any time. Our life, Western life, you see now, without God, what is happening? They want to figure out their life. They even condemn our traditional Vedic culture where, like for example, the girls are married by, say, after puberty they get married and then get on with life. Now, today what they say, Oh, that is oppressive. She had no time to figure out or explore life. Explore means what? You want to explore what? What do you want to explore in this world? What explore multiple boys or multiple what explore? What explore? Oh no, some no, not that way. Career, options. What to do with life? Why? Why it is so important? The reason why everything is quickly done in Vedic culture is because get on with your real business. Don't waste time. No, it's not the time to figure out. It's time to do now. Human life. Figure out, yes, but 5 years old start figuring out. We are 3 years old. We are sending the children to school. Huh? And when we ask the parents, hey, bring your child to temple. No. He has swimming class. One father, one mother, one couple. So their daughter was like 12 years old or something. So we were distributing books. So they took one book. So we have classes Sunday evening. Bhagavad Gita class. She can come. You can also come. She said, no, actually she has badminton class. Badminton. I said, see, the answer is there itself. It's bad. Badminton is bad. Come to Krishna. This is good. So I told them. They just laughed it off but never came. So the answer is there. It's bad. Swimming, if you want a swimming class, this is actual swimming. Swim across the ocean or material like this. What swimming class you want to do? This is swimming class. We are also having swimming class, please come. So actually, this is most important. So human life should not be wasted like this. Quickly. 5 years old, Dharma and Bhagavatam. When he gets little bit brain, until then he's brainless. Children have no brain, just like animals. Once they have a little bit brain, immediately start them on Dharma and Bhagavatam. And when he goes to Gurukul, he will beg. Today, Western, that is child abuse. The other time, Deepavali Fair, these two boys, much younger, I think 2 years younger than now, 2 or 3 years younger, they were holding donation boxes. One guy, he complained. Why? He came to our stall. You are asking these boys to collect? This is child abuse. I can complain to the police. Underage, less than 16 years old, they are collecting. What is this? I said, sir, this is what actually we should be doing. Our culture is actually this. This is not oppression. They're doing for what? Doing for Krishna. No, you cannot. I'll call the police. I said, okay. Fine. The guy did not understand. And after that, they continued. But you see, we have to be careful. This is their understanding. Whereas Krishna and Sudama, they went, begging and even went for firewood in the forest. Oh, that is full abuse. Full raining it was, and then overnight they were there. That is serious abuse. And what did Sandipani Muni said after they came back? He said this. Tushtoham bodvija shreshthah satyah santu manorathah chandam syayatayamani bhavan piha paratracha. You boys are the best of the twice born, and I am satisfied with you. May all your desires be fulfilled, and may the Vedic mantras you have learned never lose their meaning for you in this world or the next. This is the benediction they got from their spiritual master. Of course, Krishna does not need any benediction, but he's just showing us the example how to satisfy our Guru and take risks in the service of the Guru. Like Prabhupada did in the service of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. We went at 70 years old. Acharan dāsa, what is that? 7, 6, 7, 12, 1. See? Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanto Gurorhitam Acharan Dasavan Nicha. Nicha means what? Menial. Gurau Sudridha Sauhridaha. They sound contradictory when you see from Western lens. Because here it is said, Nicha, Acharan Dasavan Nicha, you be a menial servant of the Guru and have firm friendship with the Guru. If you are doing menial service, you are thinking, how is he asking me to do this kind of thing? If I am materialistic, I will think like that. A student should practice completely controlling his senses. He should be submissive and should have an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master. With a great vow, the brahmachari should live at the Gurukul only for the benefit of the Guru. This is how we should live. Um, so this is how we actually learn humility. You know what happens when we beg, when the brahmachari begs? Yes, we are engaging their wealth in Krishna's service, but most importantly, whether their wealth comes or not, whoever gives or not, I am learning humility. That actually is the most important exercise, because I can always think, of course, Prabhupada said, we are engaging their money in Krishna's service, so it's actually, we are benefiting them. That is true. But we can't be just in the thing that I am better than others now. Yes, it is of course a better position to be a servant of Krishna and to be doing that. But I should also at the same time learn humility. I cannot be thinking I'm the best now. And then somebody will, insult, and we have to take it. They will say no, they will insult, they will complain, they will harass. We should still take it. So that's how we develop tolerance and humility. And that is the foundation of character, anybody's character. Today, you see, they might be PhDs and all that, but they have zero humility. So they cannot, their relationships won't work, their work culture, I mean, in the workplace, they cannot, all ego problems. Everywhere, most of the problems are ego problems. Why? Because no humility and no purpose of life. Just sense gratification and ego. And what will happen? Of course, there will be tumult everywhere. So, just already very late. So here, sometimes conditioned souls extend. Prabhupada made serious points in the purport in this verse, 5:14:35. Exchange money sometimes, conditioned souls, but in due course, enmity arises through cheating. Although there may be a tiny profit, the conditioned souls cease to be friends and become enemies. And Prabhupada says that, attachment to family life, we will need money to maintain all of that paraphernalia of the family. And for that, we may engage in work which is otherwise condemned. Either we may outright cheat someone, or we may be working for somebody who's cheating someone. It's always this. It's always this. We are either cheating someone, or I'm honestly working for somebody who's cheating someone. Either case is bad. I'm being implicated. I'm an honest thief, or I'm a thief. How good is that? I mean, how much different is it? So, I'm an honest assistant of a thief, or I'm a thief. Not good.
They, on the outside it looks like IT company, but the owner of the building is owner. So what he does is invest in more deep within it. So in one way, we think that we work for the IT software, nowhere the IT. But the owner of the company is interested in building this building activity. One of the major business of is putting money in building.
Accenture. I think Meta also. He announced that he's going to start a ranch or some beef business. Beef business, right?
Google CEO also told no, India is backward because it's still thinking about beef killing.
Really? He said that?
India is backward because it's just under the circumstances of thinking that beef should not be killed, that should not be killed, this should not be killed. America advanced because it came out of that. So these all guys are like,
see how advanced America is, causing problems to the entire world. And one country is causing problems to the entire world. That's how advanced it is. So, sometimes this enmity is created between conditioned soul and the father or spiritual master. Here, Prabhupada actually kind of changes the flavor of the purport. So, enmity can happen between anyone, and even here, father or spiritual master. Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulatory principles, one may perform mischievous acts even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. So, it is not that we are in Krishna consciousness, we are now immune. No, we are not. At any point in the material world, we are never immune. Even the greatest of devotees, they can fall if we are not careful. Like Bilumangal Thakur, it is said that in his previous life, he attained to the bhava stage. How can he end up with a prostitute in his life? I mean, his father died. He quickly finished off the funeral, he ran away from there to go to the prostitute in the storm. No Shmasan Maragi also. Like, zero shame. No Smashan Maragi. At least when somebody dies, we will think about life, life. That also not. So blinded. How Maya is so strong. Deva Maya Vimohita. What is that? Rajeshwari Mataji always quotes this. Aho Maya Balam Vishnu. Aho Maya Balam Vishnu. Yeah. 8:16:18. Aho Maya Balam Vishnu. Actually, it was in a different, which is Kashyapa Muni, requested by Aditi. How powerful is the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu, by which the entire world is bound by affection for children. Children. Snehabadham Yutam Jagat. So, Aho Maya Balam Vishnu. So, coming back, this doesn't have a back function. Just to quickly go on. So, here, we therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulative principles, otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension among its members. This is how dissension actually starts. Now, if you see ISKCON, huge dissensions within, huge, massive. And all that is because order of the spiritual master not followed, and then it percolated into every single aspect of the movement. And on the outside, it looks, ISKCON, one worldwide society. It's in shambles on the inside because they have given up the order of the spiritual master. Just prior to this Prabhupada sermon with the father or spiritual master. See, if money, what is said here, if money in the exchange, if there is cheating, then there will be dissension. Is this not cheating? Like to take the whole of Prabhupada's movement and money, assets, everything, and then Prabhupada is no more in the center, and now these gurus, unauthorized, and they are doing their own things, sinful activities committed, and that is what is being supported by the movement now. How is that? Is that not cheating with Prabhupada? So then what happened? Dissension starts. Therefore, we have to be very careful about this. Those who are serious about pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement should remember this and strictly follow the regulative principles so that their minds will not be disturbed. And not just deviating on the initiation injunction, but also in our daily life. It's not that, if we have the Ritvik initiation system, that's it, we will have no more problems. No. Problems can come. When Prabhupada was here physically, there were problems in the movement. The movement was full of problems. Prabhupada was managing it and guiding everyone how to rectify them, because everybody was having their own baggage of materialistic life. So everybody has their faults, and so there was fight, they were infighting, so many things were going on. But Prabhupada, because of his spiritual strength, he could manage everything and make them advance in Krishna consciousness, and in that way stabilize the movement. But after he went, his instructions were not being followed. So what happens? Dissension starts. And is it this? 428:48. So in this purport, Prabhupada mentions this. Whenever an Acharya comes following the superior orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative, he establishes the principles of religion as enunciated in Bhagavad Gita. Religion means abiding by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious principles begin from the time one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the Acharya's duty to spread a bona fide religious system and induce everyone to bow down before the Supreme Lord. One executes the religious principles by entering devotional service, specifically the 9 items. Unfortunately, when the Acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles in the name of so-called swamis, yogis, philanthropists, welfare workers, and so on. Actually, human life is meant for executing the orders of the Supreme Lord, and this is stated in Bhagavad Gita. In other words, in the presence of the Acharya, not only in our movement that there will be rascals that will be not there, but also other rascals who are there, so-called yogis and babas and gods. Their propaganda will be thwarted by the powerful presentation of the pure devotee. It will be very difficult for them to exist. And it should become like that. And when Acharya disappears, they again thrive. And you see, what is the respite then? Actually, human life is meant for executing the orders of the Supreme Lord. The main business of human society is to think of the Supreme Lord, personality of God at all times, become his devotees, worship him, and bow down before him. The Acharya, the authorized representative of the Supreme Lord, establishes these principles, but when he disappears, things once again become disordered. The perfect disciples of the Acharya try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master. This is the respite. The sincere disciples, they should follow the injunctions strictly and then propagate the real movement and not dilute it, and also vehemently attack the pseudo-religious systems which cheat people. So all this has to be done. So if we follow our regulative principle, Prabhupada said, purity is the force. Namna makari bahudha nija sarva shakti. Sarva shakti is there in the holy name. All empowerment is there in the holy name. Whatever we need to become devotees properly is there in the holy name. So if we chant regularly, Krishna will give us everything required, all the strength required to face Maya. But we don't have anuraga, we don't have nanuraga. So that's the problem. That's why we don't have this. So we have to chant the holy name and follow the regulative principles. Then that will maintain our purity, with which we can have the force in this. When we are preaching, there will be force in that preaching. It will have effect. It's because of the holy name, that Shakti. Krishna Shakti vina nahitar pravartan. Without Krishna's Shakti, one cannot preach. So that Shakti will come by properly serving the holy name and serving the devotees, doing service and hearing and chanting, engaging in daily worship, everything. All this Navavidha Bhakti under the guidance of Guru in the association of devotees. That is the underlying principle. So I'll stop it here. Any questions or comments on this verse or topic? Yeah. Mentioned about what? Honesty. Honest thief, yeah. Yes. So here, Krishna actually explains a practical way out. We actually cannot be not cheaters in this material world. It's actually not possible unless we are working on behalf of Krishna. Everyone is a cheater in this way or that. So, Krishna says here, 1847, Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat svanushthitat svabhavaniyatam karma kurvan apnoti kilvisham. Now, it is not immediately practical to give up everything and become now sannyasis, right? That's not possible. So, while we are here, how to conduct ourselves while we are stuck? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami were servants of Nawab Hussain Shah, who was a Muslim ruler, and you know all this. So, how to conduct themselves? Of course, they left. Not everybody can immediately leave, right? So, what is the solution then? So, it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Now, there will be, actually this purport is very instructive, and even the next verse. I'll just go to the next verse and come back here. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham api na tyajet sarvarambha hi doshena dhumena ivavrita. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. How to reconcile? What to do? Don't give up. Cheat, continue cheating. What? So, it is actually not to engage in grossly sinful activities. Actually, this is in conjunction with Varnashram Dharma. To be very strictly contextualizing this, it is actually in context of the Varnashram Dharma. So even in Varnashram Dharma, which is supposed to be the proper order of human life, human society, there will be some, for example, a Vaishya, he will be selling his produce. He will say, for you, I am not making any profit. He is lying through his nose, but to get his business done, he has to do something like that. So it's kind of cheating in a way, but you cannot really avoid it. But to take part in grossly sinful activities, especially directly, should be completely avoided. So let's see this purport of 1847. One's occupational duty is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita. As already discussed in previous verses, the duties of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra are prescribed according to their particular modes of nature. One should not imitate another's duty. Now, actually, our education system makes us Shudras. We are imitating a Shudra's duty, although one may be qualified otherwise, actually. He may be having the proclivities or tendencies of a Brahmana, but he is now forced to work as a Shudra because the machinery put him on this conveyor belt and he became a Shudra now for some company and he is serving that company. So, first of all, there itself there is an anomaly. But going further, one should not imitate another's duty. A man who is by nature attracted to the kind of work done by Shudras should not artificially claim to be a Brahmana, although he may have been born into a Brahmana family. In this way, one should work according to his own nature. No work is abominable if performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. See, there are caveats here also. The occupational duty of a Brahmana is certainly in the mode of goodness, but if a person is not by nature in the mode of goodness, he should not imitate the occupational duty of a Brahmana. For a Kshatriya or administrator, there are so many abominable things. A Kshatriya has to be violent to kill his enemies, and sometimes a Kshatriya has to tell lies for the sake of diplomacy. Such violence and duplicity accompany political affairs, but a Kshatriya is not supposed to give up his occupational duty and try to perform the duties of a Brahmana. One should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord. For example, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was hesitating to fight the other party. But if such fighting is performed for the sake of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there need be no fear of degradation. In the business field also, sometimes a merchant has to tell so many lies to make a profit. If he does not do so, there can be no profit. Sometimes a merchant says, oh my dear customer, for you I am making no profit. But one should know that without profit, the merchant cannot exist. Therefore, it should be taken as a simple lie if a merchant says that he is not making a profit. But the merchant should not think that because he is engaged in an occupation in which the telling of lies is compulsory, he should give up his profession and pursue the profession of a Brahmana. That is not recommended. Whether one is a Kshatriya, a Vaishya or a Shudra doesn't matter if he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here the clarity slowly is dawning. See? That means, again, let's repeat that. Whether one is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra doesn't matter if he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of God. Even Brahmanas who perform different types of sacrifice sometimes must kill animals because sometimes animals are sacrificed in such ceremonies. Similarly, if a Kshatriya engaged in his own occupation kills an enemy, there is no sin incurred. In the 3rd chapter, these matters have been clearly and elaborately explained. Every man should work for the purpose of yajna or for Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anything done for personal sense gratification is a cause of bondage. The conclusion is that everyone should be engaged according to the particular mode of nature he has acquired, and he should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. Now, we are engaged in working for these companies. They are not serving Krishna then in any way. So what? How to do? What to do in this case? This is why one has to contribute whatever he has earned to Krishna. Otherwise, he is keeping sin. 50% of what he has earned, that's the actual principle. 50% should be given to Krishna. That is the only way out of this predicament, because we are now stuck. Of course, if one can leave that, and that's better. But when one cannot, of course, don't become, like we advise our devotees not to become, delivery driver for McDonald's. Don't do that. Or all this food delivery thing. Because you're delivering meat or beef or whatever. Don't do that. Directly, at least don't do. And if you have to honestly do something, even to a dishonest person, do it, but offer that results to Krishna. This is the only way out. We have to spend our time. एतावज्जन्म साफल्यं देहिनामिह देहिषु प्राणैरर्थैर्धिया वाचा श्रेय आचरणं सदा. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. So if I can give my life to Krishna, I should do that. But if I can't, the next thing is wealth. So the brahmachari, when he goes out and begs, whatever he earns, 100%, he has to give to the guru. For the grihastha, 50%. Sometimes people are, how can you say 50%? Well, actual standard is 100%. Because cannot, that's why 50%. There's concession given, be happy with that. So, actually, otherwise, what is Vaikuntha life? Vaikuntha means you're there with Krishna all the time. You're 100% there. You're not one leg in the material world, one leg in the spiritual. You're fully there. So it has to be full on. But if I cannot, at least do half. Half is better than zero. That's why half. If you cannot do half, okay, do 10%. If you cannot do 10%, give 1 5-cent coin there. Something you've started at least. But the standard, if I want to become a proper devotee, 50%. Now, of course, we don't impose this on anyone. It has to come out naturally. Devotion cannot be forced. It's voluntary. But the recommendation is this. As much one wants to become a devotee, that much one will want to, give up for Krishna's sake. So, that's the way out. Because we cannot, especially in Kali Yuga, as you said rightly, that every endeavor is covered with some fault. And also at the same time, why is it not coming? $823.16. What did I say? 26:16 only, right? Number. Anyway, mantratashtantratashchidram deshakalarhavastutah sarvam karoti nischidram manusankirtanam tava. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. So we have to chant the holy name, not do the Namno Baladhyasya Hi Papa Buddhir. Not that I'm chanting Hare Krishna so I can serve McDonald's delivery boy. No. Not that will neutralize this. That is even bigger offense. But whatever we are doing, if we offer the results to Krishna, and Sato Vritte in Nectar of Instruction 3, try to have a job which is not so implicated in sinful life. Not all jobs are equally implicated. So we should try to find ourselves a job which is not, if we have to work, a job which is not so implicated. Like selling clothes. Of course, don't sell skimpy nonsense. Like Prabhupada was mentioning that sari business or something. Like his father was a textile business. And stuff like that, which is more or less harmful. Unless the cotton farmers are given Monsanto seeds and harassed and they're committing suicide, that's another thing. You see, in Kali Yuga, this rubbish is going on everywhere. Even if you want to do some agriculture, they'll put Monsanto there. So, so anyway, you should try as much as possible. Sato vritte. Do you know this word here? Sato vritte. Here it is translated as. Let's see what it's translated as. Following in the footsteps of great acharyas. But you know, Prabhupada also translated this in another way. Satah vritti. Vritti means occupation. Sato vritti means something which is an honest occupation in an honest field. I mean, in a less sinful field. In that way. That's why Hindus today, they don't mind any job. They come sometimes, these students, they come and do F&B, food and beverages, and they serve basically as servers in the restaurant or helping in the cooking. I said, you're spreading meat. No, I am vegetarian. No, you're spreading meat here. No, that is the work only. So you see, they don't see anything wrong. So that has to change. So that endeavor should be there. Anything else? Yeah. 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 That's good disturbance actually. Firstly, we should always feel like that. Because then only we will do something. Even if we're doing, we should feel that there's always more scope for improvement in Krishna consciousness. But as I said to you already before, you have a child whom you have to take care of. I mean, there's going to be bandwidth issues, how much you can take on. And even serving the child is actually service to Krishna because you're training him to be a devotee. So that itself is a service in itself. Now, of course, I do understand that it's different from, full-on temple service or what. But as I said the other day as well, the same things. I mean, here also, it's not that we're also eating here in the temple, we're also sleeping, we're also cleaning the place, we're also doing all these things which you're doing at home. And that is part of it. I mean, look at this. I mean, if this makes you feel any better, you see. Like the wife's duties, to render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the 4 principles to be followed by women described as chaste. And then, a chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband. Always wearing clean and attractive garments, she should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids so that the entire house is always pure and clean. You should collect the household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with incense and flowers, and must be ready to execute the desires of her husband. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking in sweet words, chaste woman should engage in the service of her husband with love according to time and circumstances. So this is also part of the woman's duties, and because this is enjoined in the scriptures, this is also, it's not out of the range of service. But now I understand that you want to be involved more with the temple and everything. That's why they have to be hearing and chanting and associating, and what you are doing. I mean, I see you doing, coming here and doing whenever you can. So that's what we should be doing. And if you feel that you're not doing enough, that's good. You should always feel that you're not doing enough. If you think we're doing enough, then that will be the end of my service. And that after that will be downhill. Oh, I have reached the peak. I'm doing well. Okay, after that go down. If you want to be climbing the peak, then we have to always feel ourselves inadequate. That's the only way to actually rise. So, if you feel like that, the more you will want to do service. That is a good thing. That's not like material depression. But that's why, well, if you don't have anything to do, then I'll give you something. You have to translate that why worship only Krishna in Hindi. Always what? What is that? Anxiety. Well, do you have time to do anything? Do you have? Or you don't have? Then yeah, I have service. Prabhu is asking for Hindi translation. What do you want to do?
So, this corresponds to Prabhupada with Mataji. She has a child who is less than 4 years old. For you, child worship is more important than baby worship. If you cannot spend time with him and stop the duties of the child, at least you must take good care of your son until he is 4 years old. And if after that time you are unable to enable anyone to take care of them, then accept it. So, because the child has to be brought up as a Krishna conscious child, so Prabhupada is saying child worship is more important than baby worship. Because you have to take care of the child.
You might have seen that before, that quote. You might have seen that quote before. Yeah.
But that is complex to parents who are not properly taking care of their kids. Prabhupada is saying that you cannot take an animal take care of. But our question is
Yeah. Because that Mataji, that particular, what is her name?
from
She wasn't wanting to take care of the child. She wanted to take care of the deity, and like Prabhupada actually was trying to nudge her to do her motherly duties. You can't be responsible like that. Get back to your mother. That's why he said that. Of course, that is also true. I mean, when the child needs attention, he needs attention. That's it. There's nothing much you can do about it. And then you hear Prabhupada, Krishna Katha, Prabhupada lectures, and read which you're doing, I see. And whenever you have time, you can come and do service, whatever you can. That's it. What do you want to do? I mean, you have limitations, right? When the bandwidth is an issue, then what can you do? You have to understand that whatever you are doing is actually Krishna's service. So that understanding should be there. If you are thinking that I'm not serving Krishna by what I'm doing, then my understanding of service has to be revisited. Because what am I thinking? What is service then? If this is not service, okay, suppose you were a man and a brahmachari here, staying here. You know what you will be doing? Of course, you can go out and distribute books and all that, but that can come later on. I mean, when you are a little more. And then, if you want, I mean, it will be difficult for women a little bit, but if you want, yeah, you can. Otherwise, we are also doing the same thing. I mean, we are washing our clothes, we are sleeping, we are eating, we are doing some translation work or book, compiling a book now. That happened. You can also take part in that. I mean, I actually need a Hindi team. I need to talk to you later about that. So anyway, the services will be there. If you have time, some spare time, use it and serve. That's it. You don't have to be too anxious about this. Just engage in whatever you can and push yourself, a little bit, but don't push over the limit where you cannot manage. Then you will be a problem for others. Others will have to take care of you after that. So you do as much as you can to the limits of your body and your time and your season of life, because now you have a different season of life. You are a new mother. It comes with different set of circumstances, some things which you cannot, unavoidable. So, and don't treat it as like, this one thing is like, no, that's also service. Yeah. Anything else? It's getting good. Oh.
So, you mentioned about the devotee association. Always the devotee association. in this case, I mean, I'm saying from my family was in Bhubaneswar, came to our house and they said that my wife asked Prabhu, where you can go and associate with him. Then we go to his concept, not to go to his son. So in this case, how to keep an association? And that's more on a physical side of association. Of course, we are
When we associate with ISKCON, it is a short-term seeming solution. Long-term, when you associate with them, then what will happen? We wouldn't have any problem with them if they did not deviate from Prabhupada, right? But they did. And how Prabhupada guarded his own disciples not to associate with Gaudiya Math devotees. Why did he say that? In the beginning, he actually encouraged them to go. You know why? He thought that if the Western devotees, they go to Gaudiya Math, and then the Gaudiya Math, his own god brothers would be, you know what, this is actually nice. Prabhupada, they call him Abhay Babu. Their own god brothers, his god brothers used to call him Abhay Babu. Oh, Abhay is doing nice, nice service. Actually, this is nice. They maybe become favorable. So he was trying to get them to become favorable. But when he saw that they were reinitiating his disciples and poisoning their mind against Prabhupada, he says, stop the nonsense. We don't have to associate with them, nor sell their books in our place. They don't sell our books. Why we should sell their books? Even to that extent, Prabhupada cut off completely. So now, what is the alternative then? Well, this is where we have to rise to the occasion. When it comes to challenges like this, we have to become the pioneer. We have to take up the initiative to start something. I'll tell you an example. Of course, she's a woman there, she can't do much. But just yesterday I was talking in the night, late in the night. One Mataji, Devaki Mataji, she is in Hyderabad. Her husband, supportive, not a devotee, but he chants some, but he's supportive of her devotional activities. But she can't do much, you see, and she doesn't have another temple, like ice cream temple. She sometimes go to ISKCON there or something. Now, she got one idea. Only darshan, that too once in a blue moon she will go for some festival or something. Now she got some idea. They were doing this book distribution marathon. She is going, distributing books. They will bring the books, she'll distribute and give them money. But she'll collect the contacts and put in our group. It's not that we want to cheat or something. But honestly, we are dealing with an organization which is cheating. When they're taking people out of Prabhupada. Books are Prabhupada, yes, we are not denying. But the follow-up, what will happen? They'll become guru of some, disciple of some other guru, everything. So to get them to Prabhupada, some ideas she got. And then she's also saying that, she wants to conduct maybe some preaching program for the school teachers and maybe some students in a nearby school. Some whatever service you can do. For that, at least you should know philosophy. So that's how, at least we have online classes now. We are live streaming for this purpose. Why? Because those who can't, then they can avail this opportunity. So we have to take advantage of that. They must attend our classes. I don't see them attending. Correct? So if they are craving for devotee association, when there is something available, if not everything, why that something is not considered as better than nothing, absolutely. So it should be whatever is there, we have to hold on and then get the strength somehow and then talk to devotees, get some ideas, and then at least in our own house, follow the whole program, and if possible, can help preach. Even to neighbors, just invite them over for a tea gathering, something. Who do prasadam gathering, some small snacks or something, and talk a little bit. They should do some bhajan if you can, whatever.
So doing that in a month once is advisable.
For a start, yeah, why not? And then eventually you can increase the frequencies. Okay, you know what? We have to close. It's getting late. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki